children of the night. What music they make.
They're all gonna laugh at you!
They're coming to get you, Barbara.
What's up?
I'm not gonna hurt you. I'm just gonna bash your brain.
And we are live, finally. It's been a long week. I know you've all missed us, your least favorite horror podcast, but we're back. And this week we are talking M. Night Shyamalan's Glass. I am horror author Jason Brant, joined as always by Garth, Jack Campisi.
Kiss my glass.
No Hunter Shea this week. Last minute he had a mop incident, so he won't be joining us till next week, but we will not miss him here.
Something tells me we can fill in what he thought of this movie without him being here.
We'll just swear a lot. Mm-hmm. We'll make a lot of points that don't make any sense. We'll be contradictory on purpose, and we'll never miss a beat. It'll be perfectly fine.
There you
go. So as I said, we're going to get into Glass, but first we're going to do the usual horror picks and some news, and of course, the drinking rules, everyone's favorite game. So, if you hear us say these words this week, take a drink. Jack, your words are psychiatrist, shamrock, and split. Mine are Jackson, water, and personalities, and the bonus words are unbreakable, beast, and shamrock. Hunters were going to be McAvoy, cheerleader, and twist. So, he basically had everything covered for this.
Everything but Willis.
That's true, but since he was in the movie for about 4 minutes, we might not have said it that much.
Maybe when we cover different strokes, Willis will be one of the words.
That's right. And I should mention this to everyone now. Not that I can speak clearly anyway, but I just cracked a super strong beer. So we'll see by the end of this if I'm making any sense at all. So that'll be the fun game.
I'm freezing, so I'm drinking hot chocolate out of a Carl Kolchak coffee cup.
Very nice. Where'd you get that?
I got this at Chiller Theater a couple of years ago.
That's pretty slick.
And I'm almost done, and I'm switching over to water. So, ooh, am I going to be drunk tonight?
Yeah, it's freezing in my basement, so I've had the space heater on for 2 hours before we started this.
Yeah, I got to get the chill off.
Yeah, it's horrible. All right, let's get some news going.
Okay. I'm going to start with the news I think everybody's probably heard, but worth talking about. You hear about the new Ghostbusters movie?
I did, and I find this so hilarious.
So, Jason Reitman, who is the son of Ivan Reitman, is co-writing and directing a new Ghostbusters. I think it's going to come out like next year. And it's going to be a continuation of the classic series. So it's going to probably feature the original cast in some form, along with 4 teenage new Ghostbusters, 2 boys and 2 girls. That's the word on the street. And naturally, Leslie Jones went onto Twitter in a tirade about it, and then there was a teaser trailer that came out, and everybody lost their minds.
Oh, I didn't see the teaser.
Yeah, the teaser trailer shows like a barn, and the Ecto-1 is under a cover, and it, like kind of the wind blows it up, and you hear like the proton pack starting and stuff, and you hear the classic music. So it's totally like, if you're a Ghostbusters fan, even if you're the most skeptical about this movie, you kind of see it and go, oh, yes.
So they're doing this time what they should have done 2 years ago.
Yes.
This is so funny.
Now, 2 years ago, they were rumored that they were going to do something like that, but with like Chris Pratt and Channing Tatum. And now they're going to go teenagers. I think this is a better way to go, probably. If you go with like name brand guys like that, it's going to probably, de-escalate quickly.
This is exactly what people were calling for. Exactly what people do. A passing of the torch movie, make it a continuation of the storyline, and Sony, for whatever reason, had to reboot it because it's Sony and they screw everything up. I just love that they're completely mothballing that remake already. It's been 2 years, not even 2 years. It's just done.
Now, they could always do a multiverse where somebody crossed the streams and 2 different separate universes merge and they all meet up. But at this point, they probably should just sweep that one under the rug and let it go.
Did you see it?
Yes, I did.
I have not been able to bring myself to see it yet.
Chris Hemsworth is the best thing in the movie.
Okay.
And the actresses in it are give it their all. It's just like a needless retread that
It's almost like you're remaking one of the greatest movies ever, and it's
yeah,
not going
and
to
it's
work.
just they just put a new coat of paint. I mean, Melissa McCarthy's hilarious, Kristen Wiig's hilarious. All of them are really good, but they're just dealing with really subpar. There's a few laughs here and there. It really falls apart in the third act, but you can't. You knew that was going to happen.
I love the endings of movies.
Ghostbusters movies in particular, like once you get past the first one, even the second one, they kind of overdid it with special effects.
Mm-hmm.
And the further they go down that road, they're better if they pull it back and scale back a little bit.
Yep.
And if they did something more like a classic haunting with just a little bit of like almost like Raiders of the Lost Ark, really pick and chose its time to use the special effects, and then it really had an impact. They did that with Ghostbusters, where you only get CG once or twice in the movie. Besides regular ghost stuff, that could be good. I don't know. It's got to be funny. That's the most important thing.
My biggest concern with this right now is it's Sony, and everything Sony does sucks. I don't know why. It's just that studio. I'm just getting flashbacks to Venom all of a sudden.
Yeah, Venom. Ugh.
It's better than The Dark Tower, which they also did.
I can't believe I saw that in the theater. So, did you ever see the movie The Witches with Angelica Houston?
Oh,
I feel like you haven't. I feel like we talked about this.
I don't think I have.
So it's a classic. It's a what's his name? The Willy Wonka, Roland Dahl. How do you say that guy's name? Roald Dahl. It's not. It looks like Ronald, but it's not. It's like Roald Dahl. The guy who wrote Willy Wonka.
Okay.
The Witches is a classic movie. In Angelica Houston's famously, she's at all the witches are in this big ballroom, and she pulls off a mask, and she's got this hideous face, and they all pull off their mask, and there's this little kid hiding, and they eat children and stuff. It's a kids movie, but it's like terrifying kids movie. It's definitely dated though, so it's beloved by the people who have seen it, but it's not keeping up with it's not like Hocus Pocus where everybody's still watching it.
So it's not aging all that well.
It's again, I mean, I haven't seen it in years. There's one terrifying part that doesn't even have Angelica Houston. These kids are playing in a tree, and this witch comes, and she's just a regular woman, but she comes and she's trying to get them to come down off the tree, and her eyes are like purple, and so she's like, come down. Like it's almost like the kid catcher in Chitty Chitty Bang Bang. Very unnerving.
See, I keep seeing images of it here on Google, and I feel like I've seen it, but I remember nothing about it.
They turn the kid into a mouse.
Oh, yes. Yes, I do remember that. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's like a classic movie.
Yeah. It used to be on HBO all the time in the 90s. Okay.
Well, Robert Zemeckis, I believe. Let me just go back to my notes here. Yeah. Robert Zemeckis is doing a new adaptation of it, and Anne Hathaway is going to be the head witch.
Very nice.
And I have no problem with that. I think Anne Hathaway's pretty cool. I think she can pull off the Sinister. If you watch like Dark Knight Rises, that snide.
Yeah. She's a good actress. Yeah. She does good stuff.
She's got the look. She's got that.
I mean, you had me at Robert Zemeckis. I will watch anything that guy does. He is a freaking genius. So sign me up. Hell yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure the Anne Hathaway is going to rub some people the wrong way. Whoever they picked for the Angelica Houston part probably would cause, but she's first of all one of the biggest stars out there. She can be funny, she can be sinister, and I think this movie has to be a little bit campy. So,
sure,
I'm looking forward to it. I think this is a good one to kind of update.
Yeah, as soon as you said the mouse thing, that just completely clicked in my head. Now I want to see that again. I mean, that's been 22 years since I've seen that, probably.
Yeah, some week when it's slow, we should all watch that.
That sounds fun. Yeah, I'd like to.
I don't even know if it holds up. I could watch it and be like, "Oh my god, did I love this movie?"
Oh yeah, let's definitely do that.
I saved the best piece of news for last.
Okay.
I'm going to read the synopsis of this new movie called Among the Shadows. That's it's been made and it's being shopped. Synopsis: Christy Wolf is a Brussels private eye descended from werewolves who must go to work when her uncle Harry Goldstone is murdered in a politically motivated attack. Patricia Sherman, the wife of a European Federation president, Richard Sherman, hires Wolf to investigate Goldstone's killing, as he was her husband's campaign manager. Wolf finds bodies falling all over the city and must use her innate instincts to unravel the case and stay alive long enough to unmask the conspiracy.
So a werewolf private detective.
The reason I read this whole thing is Christy Wolf is not the reason I read this. Patricia Sherman is played by Lindsay Lohan.
I didn't know she was still acting.
She's got like that beach house show. But as I was looking around for news, I stumbled upon this trailer for a Lindsay Lohan werewolf movie, and I was like, "Oh,
Wow.
it looks as good as it sounds."
What's it called again?
It's called Among the Shadows.
Among the Shadows.
I love that the woman the private eye who's descended from werewolves' name is Christy Wolf.
I know.
Nice and subtle.
I heard the uncle or father who's killed, his name is Harry.
Yes.
I mean,
Harry Palmer.
Oh my God. Is this supposed to be a serious film, or is this
Yes.
oh my God. Wow. The trailer looks amazing. Or not the trailer, the poster. It's Lindsay Lohan in like a leather dress.
Yeah, it's something. So I don't know when this is coming out or who, but
we might have to cover this.
Yeah, this or if you're so bad it's good, this
there you
may be
go.
served right up.
So it's being shopped, no release date. All right.
The thing is, Lindsay Lohan was a good actress. She was in some stuff back in the day. She had some chops, and then
yep, the old cocaine that'll do it to you.
Cocaine is a powerful drug. Anyway, that's all the news that's fit to print.
All righty, let's jump into some staff picks.
We have such sights to show you.
All right, I guess I'll go first since you did all of the news.
Go for it.
See if I can remember what in the hell all I had. Okay, so first up, I watched, and I feel like you had talked to me about this a while ago, Night of the Living Deb. Did you see that?
Oh, yeah, I saw that.
So I just came across it on Shudder. I thought, what the hell? I could use a funny horror comedy. This wasn't bad. It was actually better than I expected. It wasn't, great by any stretch, but the main actress playing Deb, whose name is completely escaping me right now, I thought she held the movie, like, completely. She was quirky and funny and insane for about the first half, at least. Is it Maria Thayer? That looks like her.
She's from something. Like, I don't know if like The Office or something like that.
Just on IMDb, it says she was an Accepted, Forgetting Sarah Marshall. So
Forgetting Sarah Marshall. That's it.
She really carries this movie. She does a good job. It's definitely not really any horror in it. It's just mostly a comedy, but it's got a cast of characters that you recognize, like Ray Wise is in it. Oh God, the really funny brother in it. I can't even think of his name. He was in The Girl Next Door. He's freaking hilarious. So the comedy works well. It's honestly the romance stuff that I thought was just, and I'm not a romance guy, so I'm not going to sit here and review that aspect of it, but it was really what kind of hindered it a little bit for me. But
if I recall correctly, I feel like I started watching it and felt like I was watching a bad movie, and then suddenly I was like, "Wait a minute, this isn't so bad." I feel like it kind of finds its legs and turns out to be a pretty entertaining movie.
It's worth it. It's definitely worth a watch. It's something that I'd heard about this when it came out. I don't remember when you told me about it, but it was like I didn't really have any interest in seeing it, but it's not bad. It's a decent film. It's a great Shudder movie. It's one I probably would never have rented. I saw it on there, 90 minutes, whatever it is. It was solid. I enjoyed it.
I just talked a friend of mine into getting Shudder, and then over the weekend he comes back and he's like, "Oh my God, I watched like 1,000 movies this weekend. It was amazing."
Shudder just has so much good stuff. It's unreal.
Yeah.
So yeah, Night of the Living Deb. Not bad.
Cool. I am going to go back through some of the movies I watched over the break because I watched so many that I feel like I need to comment on them because they didn't make my top 13 list.
Okay.
One of the ones, did you see Ghost Stories with what's his name? Bilbo Baggins?
Yeah, the British film?
Yeah. It's like
I did.
Kind of an anthology, but really it's this paranormal investigator investigates 3 different things, and then there's kind of a wacky, polarizing ending that I think some people love and some people hate.
Yep. that sums it up.
My opinion of this movie is it's worth watching. There's a lot of good stuff in it. There's some really cool looking and well executed scares and shocking things. And I didn't mind the ending so much. It kind of reminded me of a lot of like Tales from the Dark Side, or those kind of TV show kind of endings with everything you thought is actually not what you thought. It was fine, but it's nothing. I wouldn't put it up there in the top 10 ghost movies all time, but definitely a good renter.
That was one of my most anticipated movies of the year, and when I watched it, I was like, it's pretty good. Wasn't great. The ending really didn't do anything for me. It just, I don't know. Maybe it was because it was so hyped and I was expecting more. I'm with you. It's worth a watch. That's about it.
Yep, worth a watch.
We're really hammering out the recommendations. We're like, yeah, it's all right.
What? In this day and age, isn't that what you want? It's like, I loved it. It's worth a watch.
Yeah.
I wasn't crazy about it or I hated it. I don't know.
Where did you have to rent it, or is it on Prime or something?
I think I actually rented it because I was in the push and I felt like I wasn't seeing it on a lot of best of lists, but I saw it on a couple and I felt like I'm curious about this. I can't remember if it was on Prime or not. I feel like I probably paid a couple of bucks.
Okay. Well, speaking of glowing recommendations, I watched another movie on Shudder called The Interior, which is a story about a guy, 20s, late 20s, 30s, something like that. He finds out he has cancer, quits his job, breaks up with his girlfriend of a year, and goes out in the wilderness, goes backpacking in another country. I don't remember if it was South America or something. And as his body and mind deteriorate from the illness, he starts hearing things outside his tent and starts seeing a weird guy following him around, and kind of becomes, is he being followed, or is the cancer affecting his brain to the point where he's not being rational anymore? First half, I'm super into this movie. I'm like, why is this rated under 5 on IMDb? It's like a 4.5 or something really bad. And then the last half, I couldn't tell you what the hell happened. I have no clue. It went from one of these weird indie movies that I really like to a movie that I'm just like, I can't recommend this to anybody because everybody's going to be super pissed off because the ending is it just ends. So I can already hear the chat. Oh, another third act Jason doesn't like, but I don't know how I keep finding these movies the last month, but there's another one.
There's so many movies. That's why I liked Upgrade so much, because the ending was so good.
Yeah.
Like, wait.
It was the best part of the whole movie. It was so great. Yeah. So this, I really enjoyed the actor in this. I thought the story, the setup was good. There's some talent behind this for a very cheap movie. It's just, I don't know. The ending was too, I don't even want to say ambiguous. I was just like, what? What happened? I don't get it. So take that for what you will.
Yeah.
Another glowing recommendation.
All right. My next movie I wanted to talk to you about specifically. Can we talk about Unfriended, the dark web?
Yes. Bring it on.
So I saw a lot of love for this movie. And well, I thought this was like an okay renter, like a Shudder film. Anybody who put this like on their top 10, I was like, what are you doing? Because I thought it was a really silly movie with a lot of ridiculous things. And there was some good stuff too, but it's not supernatural like the last one. And yet maybe it is, because some of the bad web people practically have magical powers in this movie. They're able to cloak themselves like Romulan ships.
The hacking is very exaggerated.
And, it's pretty convenient that, like, it's like the guys sending you malware all happen to live in your neighborhood too, or they have enough people that they can get to you. So I get it. It's a movie or whatever. And it was okay. But I thought I was reading a lot of reviews that were like, this movie's kind of ridiculous. Like it's just okay. And anybody who thinks it's more than just okay, I'm curious as to why you would think it's better than just okay.
I liked it. My wife did not, but I liked it. I thought the hacking went too far. But I think I liked it more that it wasn't supernatural like the first movie. So I dug that, and I liked the storyline. It's just I'm with you. It went a little far, and I haven't seen it since. Was that this summer or last summer we saw that? I think it was this summer.
It was this summer because it was qualified for the 2018.
I remember there were a couple editing quirks in there that bothered me quite a bit, but I liked it better than the first one, and I like the first one. I just really like the concept of being able to tell an entire story on a screen. That's just, for some reason, I dig that when it's done well. Searching was another one that came out right after that. It was actually a significantly better movie. If you haven't seen that, you should check that out.
I haven't seen Searching, and I think we've talked about it. I think The Den was the best one out of all.
I love The Den. I really love The Den. They didn't take the hacking too far. It felt like, yeah, this could happen. No, I liked it, but it didn't make my top 13. So
yeah, I thought it was okay, but there were one. But then again, I mean, people's top tens, it's all subjective anyway. But there was a few of them. It's like, really, that movie? Like, nah. So anyway, if you see it on like a Shudder or a Netflix, I'd say watch it, but I wouldn't go out of my way to watch it.
Yeah, it's one of those that it might have been in my top 20 if we'd done a top 20 list. It's worth a watch. It's not as bad as Hunter was saying.
There's a very funny gag they do with one of the characters.
It's been a while. I don't remember.
There's a thing with a SWAT team.
Oh, yeah.
That's just pretty funny. Everything is just, it happens. They make this, it's a found footage kind of movie. So everything is so set up and executed quickly. And they're sort of explaining as it happens to make sure you know what's going on. And all these found footage movies always are doing. That's part of the fun of watching these, is watching them set up the gag. It's like if you watch a Hell House or whatever it's called, 2, all they're doing is like setting up gags, and then.
Yeah. All right. So I wanted to save this movie for last. I have a book yet, but I wanted to save this movie because I'd never seen it. It's had this reputation that I've been hearing about for almost 20 years. And I finally watched it this week. Is it Takasha Meek or Mieke? I don't know how you say it. The guy who did Audition, the director.
Oh, I don't know.
I'm going to go with Meek.
I can't pronounce the guy who wrote Willy Wonka, for God's sake.
He did a movie called Dead or Alive, 1999. This is probably right up.
Is that a Gene Simmons movie?
No, no. This is the craziest Japanese movie I've ever seen. I couldn't tell you what the hell's on it. So Joe Bob did this in his Dinners of Death Thanksgiving special, and I hadn't seen it. I had a buddy who wanted to see it with me, so I've just been waiting, and we finally watched it this weekend. The first 10 minutes of this are the craziest stuff you'll ever see. A guy does a 30-foot line of cocaine. I mean, it's just another guy walks into a grocery store and just reaches into the produce and pulls out an Uzi. Another guy's eating noodles and then gets shot and noodle spray I mean, it's complete insanity. A guy drowns a hooker in a baby pool filled with sewage. It's really like 3 separate movies. The beginning is just this coke dream, and then the middle drags quite a bit, actually. And then the third act is just bonkers, and the ending, I don't know what happens. But it's so insane, you just laugh. It's not a movie I would watch alone. I'll put it that way. You definitely going to want to watch it with somebody, have some beers, and just enjoy the ride, because it is absolute freaking madness.
Is it in English or subtitled?
I watched it. I watched it subtitled, but it's on Shudder, and most of Shudder's stuff is dubbed too. I just prefer subtitles. But this, I mean, I don't even want to spoil most of the stuff that happens. I mean, there's bestiality in this movie. It's just crazy. There's so many scenes intercut with a stripper that I don't know why. I don't get the movie. The one guy, one of the 2 main guys, I think he's a cop, is rocking the Van Damme pants pull better than Van Damme. Like, this is like touching his nipples. His pants are so high. It's really impressive. Yeah, it's very impressive. I got to give that guy credit. So it's
what year is this?
1999 it came out. It's, if you have Shudder, you got to watch it. whether you watch it with the Joe Bob version or not, his intro's pretty hilarious. But check it out, Dead or Alive, Takashi Miike.
I would probably lean towards the Joe Bob for something like that, so I could get the insight.
Well, this is actually my buddy's first time watching a movie with the Joe Bob interstitial stuff, and he loved it. So it's you're gonna want some chemical assistance when you're watching this movie for sure.
Huh.
So there you go.
One last one, real quick for me. Not a horror movie, but I watched it yesterday, and I just thought I'd throw it out there because there's not a ton of horror out there right now. I watched the Sicario 2. Sicario, I think it's Day of the Soldado or something.
I've been wanting to watch that.
It's good. I liked the first one better, but this is everything you want in a movie, like hardcore military, drug cartel, helicopters. The action sequences are very short and brutal. It's not like a action movie where the shootouts are hide behind. It looks like real life kind of fighting, and when people die, it's pretty brutal.
How's it compare to the first?
I like the first one better. There's no Emily Blunt in this.
That's a big
they
negative.
Kind of took her, and I heard Josh Brolin say they took her out because she would be a moral compass, and they couldn't have that in this movie.
I like the sound of that.
This is one of those movies that kind of shows you the blurring of lines between fighting terrorism and war on drugs and the bad you have to do in the name of good and all that kind of stuff. You got Josh Brolin and Benicio del Toro. There's some ridiculous stuff that happens a little bit towards the end, but if you're looking for a good movie to watch one night, this is definitely worth popping on. You won't be bored. It's good at performances.
It came out a couple months ago, right? I feel like I've been sitting on it forever.
Yeah, it just came onto like HBO or something. I DVR'd it.
Yeah, maybe I'll watch it this weekend. I've been sitting on that, and what's the Casino Royale? Bad Times at the El Royale or something?
Oh, I just watched that.
I've been sitting on that too. I need to get around to it. Okay, so finally I read a book called Bring Her Back by Jeff Strand. I've been going through Jeff Strand's work probably the last year. And I feel like this was a newer one. Yeah, it was just published in May of 2018. As all of Strand's work, it's humorous, it's gory, it's crazy, and the plot drives just straight through the book, which I appreciate. I've never read a dull Jeff Strand book, and this is good. Simplest of stories, but funny, crazy.
What's it about?
A very ugly man finally finds a girlfriend, and he on the side works with helps a drug dealer deliver packages. Basically, because he's a big ugly guy, he acts as muscle. He doesn't say anything, he doesn't do anything, he just stands there while drugs are traded. And because of his association with that, bad things start to happen to his drug dealer. They start coming after him, they start coming after his girlfriend, and the story goes absolutely crazy, as all Jeff Strand books do. So it's a good time. I think I got it for $1. I don't know how much it is now, but I mean, if you haven't read any of his work, you can just literally pick any book. You're going to be happy. So Wolf Hunt is a great one. Start with that, and you can't go wrong with this. It was like 250 pages too. It was a real fast read. No big deal. Jeff Strand's the man. I'll recommend his stuff forever. So there you go. That's all I got.
Cool. All right, let's get to the good stuff.
All right, we'll be right back with Glass.
You like scary movies?
Uh-huh.
What's your favorite scary movie?
I don't know.
You have to have a favorite. What comes to mind?
Jack, can you hit me with a solid description of this M. Night Shyamalan twister of a film?
So this is a sequel to Unbreakable and Split. Split was a stealth sequel to Unbreakable, and this is a flat-out sequel to both of them. It is, if you have not seen the other two, you should not even bother going to see this movie.
It will make no sense.
So David Dunn, who is a super-powered individual, it's 19 years after we met him, and he's been fighting crime as the overseer in the streets of Philadelphia with the help of his son, who's the man in the chair. his arch enemy, Mr. Glass, has been in a mental institution, and fresh off of Split, which took place like 3 weeks ago or 3 months ago or something.
I wasn't sure. Yeah.
Kevin Wendell Crumb, a person with 24 distinct personalities, including one is the Beast, which is a vicious monster with also superpowered, is on the loose, and the Overseer hunts down the Beast in what has been anticipated for a long time as the big smackdown we've all been waiting for. And that quickly happens, and then they're thrown into a mental institution for the rest of the movie, where they talk a lot with Sarah Paulson.
There's a lot of talking in the second act of this movie. A lot of talking.
And then M. Night Shyamalan does his thing in the third act, as usual.
He does. That's going to be an interesting part of the discussion. A really interesting. All right, well, I'll go first. I liked this movie with a lot of caveats, to the point where I might talk myself out of it by the end of this movie. I am an unabashed fan of Unbreakable. I think you could hold that up. If somebody wanted to argue with me that that's Shyamalan's best movie, I would hear that argument. I think that and The Sixth Sense are very different, but I hold them both in the same regard. I think it's a very slow burn of a movie. I haven't seen it in a while now, but I've watched it a lot, and it's a solid character piece is what it is. And it's a different kind of superhero movie, and I dig that about it. And Split is... Did we actually cover that for an episode? I don't think we did.
We did.
Oh, did we? Okay. That's just a solid all-around movie. So hearing that they were going to do a joint sequel, I mean, we all went nuts when we saw the end of that, right? It was just... We were super excited. This movie gave me basically nothing I wanted out of what I thought I was going to get. That doesn't mean it was bad, but it certainly did not meet my expectations. So I like it. Sure. So there you go.
I think that's the right way to say it with the question. I liked it.
Yeah, that's where I'm at.
I saw Unbreakable and I was underwhelmed. I thought it was kind of slow, and I thought that the big reveal at the end wasn't. I thought it was a little anticlimactic.
Okay.
Like, oh, I didn't think it was that big a deal. The movie has grown on me, and I like Unbreakable, but I still find it like it's a good movie. Like, it's not one of my favorites, but I like it a lot.
Sure.
I liked Split a lot, and then once Split was established, it was in this world, I thought it escalated it. It's like, oh, whoa, now this makes way more sense. And I could not wait for this movie. However, in the back of my head, I was prepared that he wasn't going to deliver what we all wanted. You know, and the trailer showed you everything that we wanted.
Yes.
It was all the Beast and David Dunn facing off. And
that's definitely not what we got in this movie.
I want to see this movie again before I really, really decide what I think of it.
Me too.
But I thought it was okay, but I was kind of underwhelmed.
Yeah.
And I thought, okay, if that's what you wanted to do with this movie, I can live. It's like when you watch Bad Times at the El Royale, it's not going to be exactly what you're expecting. And once you get around that, you might be like, oh, it's a pretty good movie. It's just not what I thought it was going to be.
Okay.
This, I could feel that way, except some of the things he did in this movie, I thought he didn't earn or he didn't execute well.
Oh, yeah.
And so that's where I'm like, well, even if you wanted to do that, if you go back and watch The Sixth Sense, there's breadcrumbs all over that movie. And there were a few moments in this, when we get the spoilers we can talk about, that I was like, okay, now that I know what happened, that makes more sense, and that makes more sense. But really, I thought it committed the sin of telling me, not showing me, when it came to a lot of the big stuff.
This movie or The Sixth Sense? Okay, this
movie.
Yes.
Would just be like, oh, it's, by the way, this.
Yes. I agree completely. It was really the writing that failed this movie for me the most. And I think we've talked about this with him. He seems to excel with very simple stories. And as the budgets get bigger and the stories get more complex, it all starts crumbling down. And that's exactly how I felt about this movie. I'll save it for spoilers, but there's something in the third act of this movie that just boggled my mind that it came up. So I'll just say in the first 20 minutes of this, I was just sitting there grinning ear to ear. Yep. This is exactly what I wanted. I've been waiting 20 years to see David Dunn as a superhero. I want to see him go up against the Beast. Hell yeah, this is great. And then it just like he slammed on the brakes and did a Yui and then just coasted back up the road. And my excitement just slowly drained down as the movie went on.
There's a lot of talking in this movie, and there's a lot of talking about in a superhero, in a comic book, this is how it is. And I'm going to explain that to you a couple of times over and over. And like they kept banging you over the head with a lot of that in a superhero world dialogue that was like, okay, we get it.
I feel like that was more important when Unbreakable came out before this giant boom in comic books. Now, like, we all get this shit.
Yeah. There's some great stuff in this, though. Even in the slow parts, it takes a while for Mr. Glass to really become part of the movie. But once Samuel L. Jackson is kind of up to his old tricks, everything he does is like great.
Yes. He's outstanding. James McAvoy crushes this movie again. He's just phenomenal.
Like I said, I think this movie only takes place like it's either 3 weeks or 3 months after Split. The other problem
in the chat, Thomas said 3 weeks.
So Anna Taylor-Joy, or whatever her name is, her character, it seems like it's been a year at least since.
Yeah, she looks older to me.
She's dressed very nicely. She's like, oh, a bunch of the stuff in my life got resolved that it would take way longer than 3 weeks to handle. She'd just be recovering.
Yep, I agree.
It takes longer to get over a bad haircut than this woman.
That's true. I did want to say too, speaking of the excitement at the beginning, this isn't much of a spoiler because it happens right away in the first act, but you get the face off we all want. Right away, David Dunn finds the Beast and he's ready to go, and the fight starts. I'm like, yes. And it's probably the worst shot fight scene I've ever seen in my life. It's truly awful. I cannot explain how bad this fight scene was. It started off thinking, cool. Oh no, it's just a bear hug? Really? That's all we're gonna get? And yeah. And then the real movie starts. It's like he did everything you expected to take the entire movie. He condensed it into 15 minutes and then started telling the story he actually wanted to tell, which is all in a mental asylum.
Yeah, and he's all about deconstructing, subverting expectations. And again, you're all for it, but it has to be entertaining.
Yeah, give me a little bit of what I want. Just a little bit. Doesn't do it.
But like, again, I walked out and I was like, maybe if I watch this a second time, I'll be like, oh, yeah, okay.
No, I'm 100% with you, because I don't know how much of this is it didn't meet my expectations versus how much is this was not done well at all. You know, I'm not sure where that's at. And there are some points that aren't done well. I'm just going to be honest. Fight scene at the beginning was crap. The prison, the cell they make for James McAvoy makes zero freaking sense. So you've seen it in the trailers. Lights flash anytime he goes near the door, and it changes his personality. So he can't get out of the room. Every time he goes forward, it flashes and he's stunned and then he's someone else. Can't he just put the pillowcase over his head and walk through the door? Like, close your eyes.
I kept waiting for him to do that because they kept showing the bed. I'm like, okay, he's got sheets, he's got a pillowcase, he's got eyelids.
Like, I don't get this. What the hell? So, you know, whatever. That was pretty poor. I think you could go see Infinity War
having not seen the Marvel movies, and you'd be a little bit lost, but you'd get the idea of, okay, these are the good guys and they're trying to do this. I think you'd be entertained by it. You might be a little bit lost if you're not for the three people that aren't up on the Marvel universe.
Mhm.
This movie, if you haven't seen the other two, there's no way you should see this movie.
No, you definitely shouldn't see it. You shouldn't see it regardless. I mean, only if you're a fan of the first two would you even care. In fact, I think if you saw the first two, you might like this less than if you just went into it, because you don't have any expectations of wanting this big battle that you don't get a payoff for. So
not only did you want a battle, but you kind of wanted the hunt.
Yes.
And the Mr. Glass getting his fingers into things and manipulating.
Yep.
Like that whole thing, you never got any of that. What they did give you, we got to get to spoilers soon, because this is...
Yeah. I do want to give Shyamalan some credit, because we trashed him. I think it was the first time I came on Monster Men or something like that. I feel like we spent like 20 minutes trashing him, like Shyamalan movies. And he's really brought himself back from... I mean, he was king of Hollywood, then he was trash, and now he's kind of brought himself back up and having some hits. And I just read an interview with him. Apparently, he self-financed The Visit, and he self-financed Split and this, which, I mean, that is unheard of at this level of movie. So I absolutely want to give him credit. He's taking big chances. He's doing big things. Whether or not I like it, he's really putting it out there. So I don't want to trash the guy. But yeah, when we get into spoilers, it's not going to be great. But I just really appreciate the way he's going about and doing this. He's making his own movies with his own money, doing what he wants to do. So that should be respected.
And there are people out there that love this movie. It's got crushed by critics, but if you go like on YouTube and look up reviews for this, I think they're mostly fans of the trilogy who will be like, this is such a great movie, and they really get it. And they, if you don't like it, you're not getting what it really is about, and this and that. And again, I didn't walk out like that movie sucked. I walked out like not satisfied and frustrated, but also like, there was some good stuff in it too. Like,
yeah, it's not trash by any stretch of the imagination. And I don't see this being a movie like The Last Jedi, where you and I said we both liked it. We trashed it for the entire review. And now, as I think about it more and watch it more, I cannot stand that movie. I don't see this being that. I just see this being... You said underwhelming when we first started, and that's exactly what my wife said as we were leaving the theater. It was just underwhelming, primarily because of my expectations, I think. So,
I'm actually really looking forward to seeing it again.
You want to jump into some spoilers?
Yes, definitely.
Okay. If you haven't seen it, earmuffs. We're going to spoil the shit out of this. So, what did you think about the ending of this movie? Is that what underwhelmed you the most?
There's 2 or 3 endings to this movie. There's the implied that they're going to go to the Nakatomi Tower for the final fight. Then they never get there. They have a fight out on the front lawn.
Yep.
And then all the main characters die.
Yes. Yes.
Because Sarah Paulson is part of a secret society that, like Hydra and S.H.I.E.L.D., stops superpowered people, good and bad, to keep balance and to it actually would make sense if there were superpowered people, there probably would be something to... This is like the Watchmen and the X-Men with a mutant registration. There's always like these people are dangerous, whatever. But her motive is to talk people out of it and make them not believe in themselves. And then they don't. So the last resort is to kill them. Then you have, they're successful in killing everybody, and you think that the secret society has won. But Mr. Glass had tricked her into installing a bunch of cameras at the facility. He streamed everything to his own website and then send copies of the video to the 3 people that believed in them the whole time, going to the belief thing. And they send it out onto the internet, and suddenly everybody knows that they're superpowered people. And I'm sitting there going, if those videos got out, wouldn't that just, you ever see those guys who make like trick shots all the time?
Yeah.
I'm like, wouldn't they, those videos, hey, look, this guy's bending something. Look at this guy can climb. Oh, that's amazing. Like, I would think that like, it would be one of many YouTube videos. Like, oh, how'd they do that? That's a pretty good trick.
Or you'd be like me and I'd just be like, it's fake. Like
Yeah.
every ghost thing I see on YouTube, that's fake.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wow, he's bending a bar. Yeah, it's not real steel. It's easy. Like, who cares? My thing with the secret society is, one, it's not mentioned until the end of the movie. It's never a thing. So now I'm supposed to care that the bad guy, the terrorist, has foiled the group of people I know nothing about to save the day from a problem that did not exist. So to set up what I would presume would be another movie, except I read an interview with him where this is it. He's not doing another one. So what? Like, that was the worst twist I can think of in a movie since The Happening.
The only couple of nods to like there being a secret society was when they first got caught, and there's a SWAT team that has lights that can subdue.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, well, where the hell? How did they know to have that?
Yeah. I also had an issue spatially with the ending. So the SWAT team showed up, but I couldn't tell how many of them were SWAT versus how many of them were part of the secret society. And they're over there drowning David Dunn. And the son is just over here, but he somehow misses that they just drowned him. And then all these people were inside. They said, get to the other side of the building, but then that was it. So it's like all this stuff happening, but I couldn't tell who could see what and who was aware of what was happening. It just, the whole thing was wonky to me. And I was also trying to figure out the secret society crap. I'm like, what is this?
The secret society stuff was the stuff that was not executed well. That was like, if they had done this a little bit better, I think I would have accepted it. But I just felt like they sort of went, oh, by the way, we're a secret society. We're going to kind of vaguely, we meet in restaurants. We don't even rent a room.
Yeah,
we
can't
wait till
meet
everybody else leaves.
We can't meet at our house. We have to meet in a restaurant and wait till people leave. Like, what the fuck was that?
It's a good thing I wasn't in there because I talk forever.
You'd be the asshole sitting at the bar who refuses to leave.
Yeah. Oh crap! We picked all you can eat night, and Jack is here. Forget it.
Yeah, I didn't get that either. The whole that's what was so frustrating to me is I wanted to see a proper closure of the David Dunn, the Beast storyline that didn't involve other people just coming in and killing them. That's just all that was. People I don't know anything about come in, kill them, and then the movie ends. And we're the real world's going to find out about superheroes. I don't care. Like, I don't know anything about this storyline. It means nothing to me. And the fact that the terrorist is the one who saves the day is really bizarre to me. I don't know. There was no emotional payoff. And I felt
like they were borrowing the Rorschach ending of Watchmen, where his journal,
Yeah. But to your point about watching it again, The Watchmen's one of those movies that as I've watched it more over the years, my appreciation for it has gone way, way, way up. I thought the movie was okay when I first saw it, and I really dig it now. So I'm hoping I get a little bit of that. And I don't know, maybe upon rewatching, we'll see that clove thing they all had tattoos of or whatever the hell it was.
The shamrock.
Was it a shamrock?
Yeah.
So I don't know. I just, not to be nerdy writer guy, but from a story structure perspective, that was really not well done. It felt very messy to me.
How'd you like the M. Night Shyamalan cameo?
So I didn't get it because I haven't seen Unbreakable in so long. I didn't get it until I was reading up on the movie a little bit. And then I realized that's the same character he played from Unbreakable. And then I was like, oh man, that is so good. Like, what a great little continuity thing that I totally didn't get while watching the movie.
It was good. It was a little clunky.
What do you mean?
Hey, didn't you used to work at the...
Yeah, it maybe could have been worded better. Like maybe...
It's a little heavy-handed, but at the same time, I thought it was so clever. That I was like, okay, that's that. I like that they did that.
Yeah, I liked it too. Maybe to make it a little better, you could have had Bruce Willis bring it up because he saw everything the guy was doing. But still, I mean, I didn't even get it. So upon reading about it, I thought, hey, that's good for him.
Supposedly he's in Split too. I think he lives in the same building as
I didn't remember that part in reading it.
and he's supposed to be the same guy.
Okay, yeah, I saw Split. I've only seen it once, so I need to revisit. But there was another part in there that
How'd you like the end fight?
terrible. A little better than the beginning fight, but anything is better than the beginning fight. I mean, like honestly, I don't know. I don't know if he didn't have the budget to pull off what he wanted, or he doesn't have the know-how to do like a good fight. But I really wanted to see something there, and it was just like, I'm going to push you against a van. Now I'm going to push you against a van. Now I'm going to choke you, and then the fight's over.
Also, the effect of water, like I felt like in Unbreakable, it was like drowning was the thing.
Mhm.
But this felt like if David Dunn took a shower, he was.
Yeah, even his prison cell, they're like, we'll just hit you with water. Thinking, can't you just hold your breath while you smash the door down? What's the problem? But
Suddenly he's the aliens from Signs.
is there a water thing with Shyamalan?
The lady in the water.
Can he not swim? What's the deal? It feels like there's some weird connection there I don't know about. I had a couple other things, but I really didn't want it to feel like I was shitting on the movie because I didn't walk out thinking it was bad. I just walked out thinking it's not what I wanted.
No, there's problems.
Yes, some big problems. Some really big problems. I did want to say, though, bringing back the kid who's now a man who played Bruce Willis's son, as soon as I saw him, I thought, wow, he looks so familiar. How do I know this guy? And then they showed the flashbacks. I was like, that is the same freaking actor. That's unbelievable. That was and he was good too. I don't know if I've ever seen him in anything else, but
And they had so many people to shove into this movie, yet Sarah Paulson gets the most screen time.
by far. I like Sarah Paulson, but
so do I.
Yeah, for somebody who wasn't in the other movies, she had a lot of screen time.
Like I said, I really liked the Samuel L. Jackson sneaking around the insane asylum.
Yeah, that was done well. I wish that had happened half an hour earlier. And because honestly, what I thought was they were going to escape halfway through the movie, and then the last half of the movie would be the chase and the fight and the confrontation. And no, wasn't that at all. Bruce Willis is essentially not in this movie. There is probably a half an hour in the middle. He's just not in it. It's just not there. And when he is, he has very little dialogue. He looks like he's asleep, which he always looks like he's asleep in movies now, but that was definitely his character in Unbreakable, so it didn't feel like a bad performance to me.
But he didn't get any good confrontation time with Mr. Glass.
No, nothing. And considering their backstory, that was really the one I was looking forward to, and you just never got it. In fact, they were in the same room, and he just kind of looked at him like he didn't even care. So clunky.
Missed opportunity.
Yes, even when she's having all three of them together and is basically telling them they're just normal people, everything you've done can be explained away. I wanted Bruce Willis to just stand up because he's chained to the floor and just pull the chain off the floor, and then that would have just solved the whole problem. So I didn't really get that either. Just a lot of stuff like that.
Of all the people, he'd just be like, take a pen and jam it into his...
Right, and it does nothing. Exactly. Yeah.
I guess it goes into the belief thing. But again, it's 3 weeks after Split, and in 3 days she has these guys doubting themselves. It just felt rushed. Everything felt rushed.
No, that's a good point. I mean, we're supposed to believe David Dunn's been doing this for 20 years at this point. He's pretty sure he's a superhero, I think.
Yeah, like he goes in the apartment at the beginning of the movie and just tosses two guys around.
Right. Yeah, he's not concerned about it at all. So, yeah, Whoa, it really sounds like we're trashing this movie, but
yeah, I know, it's hard though. It's just an okay movie. If you saw the other movies, I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised if somebody else was a fan of the other movies and loves this. I don't love the other two movies though. I like them.
Yes, I really like Unbreakable. Split was a movie I enjoyed quite a bit, and the ending to me, it's basically the opposite of this movie. The ending of Split just raised it to a whole nother level, and the ending just pulled it way down for me. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like this story was too complex, and this sounds like I'm being mean towards M. Night Shyamalan Ding Dong. I never know if I'm actually saying his name right. Shyamalan, right?
Shyamalan.
When he does a simple story, 4, 5, 6 characters, not a lot of twists and turns until the end. He's good at the end. I feel like the guy really can nail stories down, but as soon as it starts getting bloated, it just doesn't work. I don't know what that is, but this was another example of it.
He's got a real distinct style.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of clunky stuff, even in the movies you like. If you watch Sixth Sense or Signs, I love Signs. A lot of people don't like Signs. I love it.
The end is god awful, but otherwise I loved that movie.
But there's a lot of stuff that happens in that. The dialogue, the delivery of things. Like he's ham-handed sometimes with things.
Mm-hmm.
And in his lesser movies, it shows. But even like the Visit is a good movie. Yep. But when you watch it, you kind of are giggling.
It's his own unique style. Yes, his dialogue, it's almost the opposite of Tarantino. Tarantino's dialogue is so over the top and verbose and it's unrealistic. This Shyamalan's is unrealistic too, but in a very different kind of way. I don't even know how to describe it, but it doesn't feel like it's people talking.
Yeah. So I don't know. Again, and a lot of dwelling on the comic book thing. This is how it works in a comic book. If somebody goes to a comic book store and hears people talking about how it is in a comic book, and they could have really done that in half the time that they do. They're kind of banging it over your head.
So the comic book thing, I feel like this is more of a sequel to Unbreakable than it is to Split, even though the actors from Split are in this movie more. But the whole superhero thing is so all over this movie that this feels more Unbreakable than Split to me.
Yeah, it's got a lot of talking, a lot of, well, this is how it is in a comic book, and this is what's happening right now.
Yeah, Samuel
you
Jackson
didn't get any of that in Split.
No, Samuel L. Jackson doesn't talk for an hour of this movie, and it's still a sequel to his movie. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I really feel like we're trashing. You know what this feels like? It feels like our Halloween review, where we were both like, yeah, I'd see it again. It was good, but we just trashed it the whole time.
You know, I think the first ending with the secret society and killing everybody